Hello, welcome to Schools at Home from Bolton Museum. I am Amy.
And I am Alice, and we are your museum guides for today.
We have a fabulous collection of Egyptian objects at the museum, and we will tell you about how we have so many in another session. For today, we are going to begin by telling you how far back in time the ancient Egyptian civilisation began.
And to do that, we are going to take a journey back in time.
We start our journey today, and we're going to travel back around 70 years to the year
1953.
Do you know who this is?
Yes, it's Queen Elizabeth II. Our Queen. This is her coronation in 1953.
But is that far back enough in time for the ancient Egyptians?
No, let's go back further.
We have now gone back to 1819, which is just over
200 years ago.
This is another Queen of England. Do you know who she is?
Yes, Queen Victoria. She was born in 1819.
That's right. She was born in 1819 and began her reign in 1837. But is that far back enough in time for the ancient Egyptians?
No, let's go back further again.
We are now in 1491, and ladies needed to be careful near this king.
Yes, this is Henry VIII, and he had 6 wives.
He is famous for divorcing or beheading his wives, and the best way to remember the order this happened is divorced, beheaded and died, divorced, beheaded, survived.
But 530 years ago still isn't far back enough in time. We need to go further.
Well, here we are, nearly 1,000 years ago in the time of William the Conqueror and the Battle of Hastings, which is still one of the most famous battles in British history.
It's 1066.
The Battle of Hastings was fought October 1066 between William of Normandy from France and King Harold of England.
Harold got an arrow in his eye, and William won, which is how he got the name William the Conqueror.
But is that far enough back in time?
No! Let's go further.
We are now in the year 60 AD. Do you recognise the uniform on this soldier?
Yes, it's a Roman soldier.
That's right. The Romans invaded Britain in 43 AD. We are in 60 AD because in that year, one of the Celtic tribes led by Boudicca tried to fight back, but even though her army was much bigger, they were still defeated by the Romans, who were much better trained.
This is nearly far back enough in time, but we still need to go further.
We have now gone back in time to 30 BC, and we are at the very end of the Egyptian Empire with their last pharaoh.
This is Cleopatra.
Yes, it is. She is one of the most famous women in history even now. She also tried to fight the Romans and lost.
But Cleopatra came at the end of Egyptian times. We still need to go even further.
So here we are in 323 BC, which is nearly 2,500 years ago.
This is Alexander the Great.
Alexander was from Greece, but when his father died, Alexander took his armies and conquered Egypt. There is even a city in Egypt called Alexandria. It is thought that Alexander the Great named a city after himself in every country he conquered.
But we still aren't far back enough.
Now we're talking. Everyone knows who this is. And the year is 1325 BC, nearly 3,500 years ago.
It's Tutankhamun, the most famous of all pharaohs of Egypt. He became a pharaoh when he was just 9 or 10. That's only a bit older than I am now.
Yes, he did, and he died when he was about 18 years old. He's so famous because his tomb wasn't found by grave robbers and remained undisturbed for thousands of years, until 1922, when it was discovered by accident. We know so much about him because of his tomb.
But he wasn't the first pharaoh. We need to go back even further.
As far back as these. These were built in 2550 BC, which is over 4,500 years ago.
These are the pyramids of Giza.
The pyramids of Giza are one of the most famous and recognisable monuments from ancient Egypt. They were built as burial places and monuments to some of the earliest pharaohs of Egypt.
The Egyptians had to stop building pyramids because they were huge clues for the grave robbers. They had to start hiding tombs in the Valley of the Kings instead.
But the Egyptians were around even before this.
So we have to take one final jump back in time.
Here we are, the very end of our timeline, 5000 BC. That is 7,000 years ago.
The Egyptians are thought to have made the earliest villages along the River Nile all this time ago.
Without the River Nile, the ancient Egyptian civilization may never have begun. It was important for a source of water, transport, and when it flooded every year, it made the land perfect for growing crops, which is why the ancient Egyptians were also brilliant farmers.
What you can see now are two of the oldest objects from the Land and People Gallery in the museum. These are even older than the pyramids. They were made by some of the earliest Egyptians.
We aren't going to tell you what they are because we want you to come to the museum when it reopens and find them for yourselves. The fantastic team at the museum will be happy to help you and tell you more about them.
Happy searching!
And we'll see you soon with more fun facts from across the museum and objects for you to find when you next visit.